So I guess we should probably start with the ninth configuration.
There it is. Okay, got it. Okay. I sponsored this, and I don't know if you want me to know why. You just want to go ahead and go and unload.
Tell us.
I would like you to explain yourself. Yes.
Yes.
Well, I saw this film when it came out in '80, and I saw it a couple of times since, and this struck me as being a particularly intelligent film about faith and about issues swirling around the late 70s, early 80s, the Vietnam War and things like that. And it's also really funny. It's William Peter Blatty has got a great sense of humor, and he throws some great jokes in this thing. And so, it was, he did it just before Exorcist 3 too. So you can kind of see
which is actually a good movie.
It came on after this, and I should have recommended that one, but I had to stick with my guns on this one. I don't know. I thought it was just kind of a different kind of film. So there it is.
Sorry, before we all dogpile on you.
It's okay. I'm ready.
When you watched it this time, did you have any different feelings?
Yeah, actually I did. I watched it again. I'm like, whoa, this is a little weirder than I remember.
So
although I think the points are still there. I think the thing it's trying to say are still in place.
I didn't hate this movie.
I don't know that I hated it.
I don't know that I like it either. I really came down 50-50 on this one. The funny parts at the beginning I think are pretty cool. But man, the tone just whipsaws in it. And it's like, what the fuck kind of movie is this? Like it seems to have, I tried to explain the plot to my mom. This is like a thing for me where like, can I explain this plot to somebody else?
Right.
And she said, it sounds like it's two different movies. And it's like, yeah, it almost is. It's like they wanted to have their weird sort of like return from Nam, like, First Blood type thing. So they crammed that in at the end of what was a kind of forgettable MASH episode for the beginning.
I want this 2 hours of my life back, Scott, and I'm really mad at you.
Okay.
I don't regret the 2 hours I spent watching it. I just found it sort of, I think other movies, other plays have done better. Also, it's based on a book, and it seems like a stage play.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it could make a pretty decent play, actually.
My favorite write-up of this was Janet Maslin in the New York Times when it came out that says, at a certain point, this movie stops resembling a bad movie and starts resembling a really bad play.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that the acting was really good, but the tone, kind of like what Tad was saying, the tone shifts are all over the place.
Oh no, it's two different tones. At first, it's kind of built like MASH like build up for this wacky castle full of castles.
But also,
wackos. But the second half gets very serious and dark.
Yes, but in the first 10 minutes, you get what's happening. I mean, you don't know the big reveal necessarily, but you get what's happening. And they proceed to do like an hour and 16 minutes of just the same crap of just people being crazy in a castle.
Yeah.
And it really, really overstays its welcome. And, and it's at the 116 mark when finally there's something that happens. But what happens is, not much better than just, a stupid bar brawl. And also the villains in the bar were like laughably horrible.
Yeah, which is really unfortunate because I thought Scott Wilson did a really good job in this movie.
Yeah.
I was going to say that too. I think it's one of the best things I've ever seen him do because I know him mostly as an older actor. And he really, if you look this up too, this was nominated for like 4 or 5 Golden Globes.
It got one Best Writing, the best screenplay that year.
Yeah, Best Screenplay. And Scott Wilson was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for Golden Globe.
Now he did a pretty good job. I thought Stacey Keach was remarkably restrained.
Are you fucking kidding me? He was doing William Shatner on 14 vials of gorilla tranquilizer.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like too restrained. Like I was like, is this motherfucker awake? Is this motherfucker alive? What the fuck? I agree with Chris, dude. I fucking hated him. I was like, dude, act like you have some fucking blood pumping through your goddamn veins in this movie.
He had 2 modes. There was in a coma, could barely like finish sentences, and then twice eyes bugging out intensity.
Right.
Yeah.
Like 0 to 11, back to 0.
Right.
And I'm sure that was a director's note, but yeah, for him to process anything, he's just staring off into space like forever. And it was so frustrating. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
He's playing crazy badly.
Well, this is I ran out of Post-its watching this movie.
Wow.
Basically, there's a whole lot of actors acting.
Mhm.
Like they grabbed like literally everybody in the cast.
Mhm.
I recognize from like 5 or 6 other movies.
Well, Robert
Like,
Lynch,
it's
yeah.
just,
Joe
like,
The guy
Spinell.
from The Godfather.
Yeah, well, like it feels like they just went through, just grabbed like every New York trained stage actor who'd then been doing movies for a while.
It's like a Law and
just
Order episode.
all in at once. It's you're like at first, like when you said we were going to watch this, I was happy because this has been on my list of like one of those things that I heard about when it came out and I just never got around to watching it. So I was really, really happy you did this. And I'm a huge fan of Exorcist 3.
Right.
This is, I don't know that I hated it, but this movie is fucking bonkers.
It is bonkers.
Yeah, it resembles a really bad play. You guys skipped over just like the god awful music cues. Like whatever the fucking music was, the opening credits was.
Well, that was odd, wasn't it?
Horrible.
Why was the biker wearing like a cravat and fucking eye makeup? Why?
Nothing.
Why were all the bikers so fucking mean? Like no one would. I mean, if we're supposed to buy that as sort of a real world inside that bar,
no, nothing about this resembled a real. And again, like I was reminded, there's this way to play crazy in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like over on one side is like what crazy people actually act like when you see them in person or you see documentaries about people who are actually crazy. Then over here, there's like this movie and I guess on a certain level, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's like this sort of weird pantomime movie crazy. And
but I think
over
Cuckoo's
the
Nest,
fucking top.
Right.
I don't think Cuckoo's Nest is over the top at all. Those people have very distinct personalities. And because I rewatched that this year, and if you watch it again, like
I saw it a couple months ago. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very, very like understated.
They all have their own lane.
They
stay in their own. They film. They stay their own lanes. All the crazy.
They stay in their own
I'm
lane.
not trying to dunk on Cuckoo's Nest because I like Cuckoo's Nest. I just thought that this was like a little much.
Yeah,
Everybody in this movie is a little much.
Yeah, it was over the top, and it was overindulgent in the middle. And I'll give you that. Well, the thing is,
problems.
I'm thinking that it asks direct questions. This film, and the thing is, I still look at this as a philosophical question. I still look at it as like,
what is it?
What is the nature of faith?
Is it the nature of
what's the nature of faith?
The nature of unselfish sacrifice?
Unselfish sacrifice. What is, why do we have suffering why do we have suffering if there's a God? Blatty asks these questions directly.
Well, what happens to someone when they have to murder people?
Yeah. Well, we don't know. It's like, yeah. But
oh God! Can we please talk about the fucking ADR though in this movie, or just the why were people talking and they were never on the screen and I didn't know who the fuck was talking and like it was bizarre.
No, you saw the Altman influence in this thing, right?
Yeah, it's Altman influence, but he doesn't know how to do it. But he doesn't know how to do it. Altman knows how to do it.
Right. All right. Well, like I said, Blatty in his films that aren't The Exorcist, he always talks about plays. He talks about questions of faith.
What else has he done besides these 2 movies?
Oh, this is pretty much it. He did something else. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
I think like one other thing, maybe.
Yeah. But his writing also his books are all about faith. And it's his theme. It's just it's some people have an oeuvre and that's his. And at the time I saw it back in the day, I appreciated the fact that someone was talking about this directly as opposed to indirectly. The time has not been kind. Let's just put it that way.
Well, it didn't age very well, but at the same time, it's like one of those instances where you're watching something and you literally have no fucking idea what's going to happen next because the movie is so.
Well, is that good or bad?
Well, I found it. I don't know that I was ever bored. Mm-hmm. It was more just sort of like you're watching this train wreck and like, now this is happening. Okay. Now we're in this weird biker bar and I guess this is going to lead up to something. And yes, like, why has this guy got eye makeup and why are they so fucking mean to an astronaut?
I had to go
normally
back.
People like astronauts.
3 times I had to go back. This was so fucking boring for me. I stopped it.
Wow.
Because in that castle, it was just the same shit over and over again. I knew exactly how each character was going to act. They storm into his office. They talk about some garbage. They leave. They storm into his office. They talk about some garbage.
Shakespeare for dogs.
You know what's weird? And also The Simpsons did that later. Or no, the Futurama did it later. But the one thing odd about this is I didn't realize watching this. This is 1980 film about 1970.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes it a little unusual.
I thought the location was sort of interesting, although once they got
Alan's groaning
inside,
in
it
the
was warmed over like Hammer era Dracula.
I'm assuming, I don't know about the interiors, but I'm assuming the exteriors were actually shot in Germany somewhere.
Well,
Hungary.
Hungary, yeah, it's Hungary.
Hungary, okay.
Passing for
Warner Brothers had a bunch of money tied up in Hungary, and
really?
They wanted to spend it, so
Mhm.
they made him shoot it in Hungary.
But it was supposed to be like, but it was
the
supposed
whole
to be like
movie or just the
Washington
interior?
Oregon,
The
right?
exteriors.
The whole movie.
Wow, that explains a few things.
Huh.
Mhm.
I'm assuming these are all still like sets, like in a soundstage.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that bar looked like a set for like a high school musical. Like,
No.
it was,
Yeah.
No, did
like,
you did
oh
anyone
my
here ever
God.
see the Hatfields and McCoys that was on the miniseries a couple of years ago?
No.
It was all shot in
Oh.
Romania, every last bit of it. So
yeah.
all the bars look ridiculous, and although the woods look good because they were the real woods,
Yeah.
but it was like just taking it out of the context like that and shooting it like in Eastern Europe was very odd because you can kind of feel the bad art direction coming through. This was, I thought, the opposite. This is like, I think it was like almost too art directed. There's too much stuff going on. There's like emphasis on the weird building, and it is a very strange idea for a therapeutic environment.
Oh yeah.
It almost crossed for me over into the category of, did this film actually happen? Like,
Wow.
it really is one of those things where like there's such a weird sort of dreamlike quality to everything that takes place after the first like 15 minutes in the movie.
Yes.
That and just how obviously fake and staged everything is, really, to me, felt like I don't think that was a choice. I don't think that was what he was going for, but just in my mind I kept thinking, like, is he just hallucinating all of this? Like, is this Jacob's Ladder? This is the 5 seconds before you bleed out.
Owl Creek Bridge.
Yeah,
I'll give you that. It could look. It has one interpretation of it. That's for sure. Mhm.
Yeah, interesting choice. Glad I finally got to check it off the list because I remember there was like a poster for this in Cinefantastique in like 1980 or something, and I don't think it got a wide release, so I never had a chance to actually see it.
No, it was a narrow release when it came out. In fact,
I don't even know what, and for some reason, I don't know that I was expecting like this drama.
Right.
Like for some reason, because it was popping up on my radar in magazines I was reading at the time that were dealing with like genre movies, I expected like some level of horror, sci-fi or something. And
well, it had a little bit of
yeah,
that.
no.
All the promo stuff had sci-fi stuff in it. Like this background here, that's what we're talking about.
Not even close.
Not even close. No, it was just an imaginary bit.
I still can't believe it was nominated for that many Golden Globes.
It impressed people at the time.
Yeah.
I really like the castle, by the way.
So it struck me somewhere at the middle point where most people fell asleep that it was like Marat Sade being crossed with oh God, what was the old silent movie with the sleepwalker, Conrad Veidt in it?
Cabinet of Dr.
Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
Shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
I gotta know. Google this shit. What the fuck are you
Caligari.
Yeah, Captain
Caligari.
Cabinet of Dr.
Okay.
Caligari.
That's
Yeah,
Cabinet.
because like at one point you figure that like half the inmates are actually working there. Or was I reading into it?
No, that's about it.
Some of them are faking for sure.
That didn't make any sense to me at all.
Well, there's definitely a clinger trying to get 4F'd out, like
Right.
pretending to be a cross-dresser thing going on with a lot of these guys. Like, I don't, again, that's
Oh shit! How woke was fucking MASH?
This is why I don't like, I got to that point of like, is this real? Like it everything was hyper real in a certain way and far below real in another way. Like it was
Well, except for the delivery of all the lines.
well,
That
yeah, I mean,
was I couldn't believe that all those actors could act so badly, or that they were being directed so badly.
It shows you how much it matters who the director is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we already talked about how horrible Stacy Keach was, like in a fucking coma, basically.
Shatner on Gorilla Tranquilizer.
Yeah. And
This is going to be really hard to edit. But go ahead, keep
Speaking
going.
of Shatner,
Yeah.
the scene in the biker bar with all those bikers.
yeah, with the gay bikers, yeah.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph. You know what it made me think of? It made me think of that episode of Star Trek when Kirk was on the planet where only the children had survived the plague, and he was getting beat up by all the little kids. Nah, 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 nah.
They were, because they were playing beach ball.
Yes, that's the beach ball thing. I felt like the whole thing was like an improv class exercise that nobody could think of any good lines.
I figured it was dodgeball, but not as funny.
Okay, well,
And out of like 25 people at the bar, not one of them was like just a decent human being.
no,
I
Right.
kept waiting
there's
for
a-
Arnold
there's a-
Schwarzenegger in the
bartender.
Terminator to
but there's a
walk.
reason.
Bartender
There's
went
a
back to
reason
call
for
a cop,
this. There's a
call a
reason for
cop.
this in the story, though. The reason that you have all these horrible bikers in the story, so Killer Kane could destroy all of them, and he did, man and woman, at the end.
That was cool.
Yeah,
There was like
so,
a moment of
he did. He wiped them all out, and he punched girls in the stomach, and he threw them through windows, and he crushed. It was kind of like a spectacle of gore at the end.
I did.
But that's the
It did
point.
wake
That's
up.
why it's
That was like my favorite
like
part.
a-
It kind of felt like the end of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
yeah.
It felt like that.
Yeah.
Although, mind you, this was set up by having him pass those bikers when he first, in the beginning of the film, and there's a dude tied up in a chair smiling at him. What the hell was that? I didn't catch that first time out.
Oh yeah.
That must have been when I was asleep.
That was the very beginning of
Yeah.
the film.
Oh,
No, it's okay, John. I had to start this thing over again 3 times.
All right. Well, like I said, this
I gave up,
dovetailed
dude.
into Exorcist 3, and
Yes.
Exorcist 3 was actually probably a better film. So
okay, Scott.
This
So,
is
so
a great
I know
movie.
you probably covered it, but why?
why? Well, at the time I saw it back in '80, I thought it was provocative, and I saw it again a couple of years later on cable, and I thought it was this kind of interesting story that talked directly about faith and talked about sacrifice, and talked about our place in the universe in some ways, very directly, because it's in the dialogue. It isn't just intimated. It isn't like hinted at. They actually,
It's right on the nose.
yeah. What's his name? Scott, the astronaut guy. He says exactly what his problems are, and it gets
Sure.
worked out in a very direct way. And it's kind of wacky, and it's got like kind of funny lines in it, and that was kind of amusing. Time has not been kind. Let's just put it that way.